Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses, show where Moon and I are catching up on all the media hits we missed. I'm your host, Boston, joined as always is Moonpeer.
Hi.
We're gonna watch 2005's A Lot Like Love, and this was another. I'm bracing you here, Moon, because I think this is gonna be the maybe the ultimate test of our blind watching here.
Okay.
Because I looked at the poster to add it here to the stream and went, I know that person. Oh no, I know that other actor.
Oh no.
So this, like the first two movies this season, was recommended as, hey, here's a kind of not hugely popular rom-com, but people seem to really like it. It is well regarded.
Okay. Now, for the record, listeners, like all I can see right now because of Boston's weird camera issues is the poster, which is just A Lot Like Love in multiple colors. That's it. I can't see anything else.
Yeah, I've purposely hidden this poster that shows the two main actors here in the movie.
Okay. I literally have never heard of this movie as well.
I haven't either. Which is surprising because it features an actor I really like, Amanda Peet. I don't know if you've seen her in anything. You might have seen her in The Whole Nine Yards in 2000.
Wait, is she the wannabe assassin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess she was also in 2012, which I didn't see. But
what? You haven't seen the disaster movie by that guy who makes nothing but disaster movies and stars John Cusack?
It's a real shocker, I know. She's been in a lot of other stuff that I've liked, but I'm not sure what else is kind of hugely popular, really. So I like her, and then the other actor here is Ashton Kutcher, which is
no, okay,
a challenge.
Okay, what year did you say this movie was from?
This is from 2005, so he's a baby in this movie.
Yes and no. When did Dude Where's My Car come out? Because that had to be like 90 something, right?
Oh, that's a great question. I actually do like that movie as a here's the dumbest. Okay, that was 2000.
Okay, so 5 years after that, we know he did a lot of growing up, especially dealing with that 70s show and his on-again, off-again relationship with G.I. Jane and then the lady from Family Guy.
Well, and this is 2 years after Punk'd, 1 year after The Butterfly Effect, so he's kind of...
I like The Butterfly Effect. I think he does really good in that movie.
Well, hey, you might like him in this one then.
I'm assuming you're not a fan of The Butterfly Effect.
I saw it once in college, and I don't remember anything about it.
Okay.
You know, college.
I guess you were so high the entire time.
Yeah, you know me, just smoking the Mary Jane ?
Reefer, dude, come on.
Okay, I'm cool. I was testing you. Ashton Kutcher is really interesting because I think I like him a lot when he turns on the charm, and that to me I think is a positive for a romantic comedy. Like you got this kind of like maybe swarthy kind of romantic, charming guy that is wooing Amanda Peet. The thing that
you're not a fan of himbo Ashton Kutcher.
No, and that's okay, but I think I have the biggest problem with him when he is trying to do the comedic stuff, which is a problem when half of the portmanteau rom-com is comedy. I feel a little bit torn about the possibilities of... I'm sure Amanda Peet is fine. She's always great. But Ashton Kutcher seems like a real interesting wild card here.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is the comedy from this usually comes up from situations. It should be rom-sitcom, not rom-com,
right.
Because
right.
more often than not, it's a situational-based comedy, not I am a comedian standing up on stage and telling a bunch of jokes kind of thing.
That's true. it's a good point. Maybe that makes me feel a little bit better about the the potentials of him in this movie.
Yeah,
Um,
like I'm sure he's not going to be like super goofy, like waving his arms around or falling over stuff. It's probably more a case of like hopefully well-written jokes to coincide with whatever the situation they find themselves in is.
mhm.
Like, I hate your stupid coffee table, for example.
Right. Well, and I think this is before like Knocked Up and other movies like that, where yeah, Knocked Up was 2007, so we haven't really hit that Judd Apatow era of every movie needs to have this same type of comedy for about the next 10 years. So
Yeah.
we're just before that. So I'm hoping that actually I should double check if he produced this. No, he didn't. Okay.
Wait. Hold on. Is Aston Kutcher the Tom Hanks of the early 2000s? He's the rom-com guy for the early 2000s. I think
Oh,
he might be.
oh man, maybe. I mean,
And
I
that
guess we'll
might
find out in
be
this one.
the true. And that might be the only time you ever hear Tom Hanks and Aston Kutcher's name muttered in the
True.
same breath as
That's
a
true.
comparison.
That's true. Um, yeah. So this one's gonna be. I feel like this is another movie where probably a bunch of people we know are gonna pop up because this is 2005. There's probably a lot of people in bit parts who are like, oh, I know her from this big thing 10 years later, or oh, she was great 5 years later in this other
Mm.
lead role. So I'm kind of excited to see that. I did in my double checking that Ashton Kutcher is in this movie. I did run across the um, synopsis for this film, so unfortunately, I can't leverage my guess for what this movie might be. But what's your guess for what A Lot Like Love might be?
Well, okay. So, I'm gonna go with this is a lot like love leads you down a certain path, and for me, that certain path is my chair is sinking again. For me, that certain path is Friends with Benefits, despite the fact that there would be a name later down a movie later down the line called
Mhm.
Friends with Benefits, which I'm pretty sure stars Aston Kutcher and maybe Mila Kunis.
No,
Can you
it's
please check that?
no. I like that movie a lot. It is Mila Kunis and
So the other
the
half of
the
the duo.
no, it's the singer Justin Timberlake, who's actually
Yeah,
really good in that.
the other half of the duo I'm talking about is Mila Kunis, who is married to Aston Kutcher.
Oh, right. Forgot about that. Look at this. 7 degrees of Ashton Kutcher here.
I wonder if you could do that. You probably could do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, let's face it. If there's 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, as soon as you've been in a movie with Kevin Bacon, you're only 6 slots away from everybody else. Um,
That's true.
okay, so I'm guessing probably a friends with benefits situation. Like maybe they know each other, they hook up a couple of times, and then things kind of they realize they have a relationship which is a lot like love. Wink.
Ho wink.
And it moves on from there.
I mean, that's also maybe kind of the plot line of the last movie we saw.
Yeah, but I think that again, that one being 80s was very much about a friendship that evolves into this.
Yeah.
This is the 2000s. This is the
Right.
height of the Attitude Era. Well, ruthless aggression in wrestling terminology. This
Mhm.
is let's start to continue to be edgy and push
Mhm.
things just about as far as we potentially can, just to try and get a rise out of people, kind of moments.
Sure.
So this one, I'm guessing, is probably closer to that kind of thing, where it's like, yeah, they have a relationship which is maybe it's on again, off again, friends with benefits. Like whenever
Mm.
they don't have a partner, that's what they do.
Right.
But I don't know
Yeah.
because it's 2005. The 2000s were a weird era because for those of you who were not ancient like we are,
Mhm.
the 90s, the end of the 90s was the edgy era in everything, like
Mhm.
grunge, attitude era, wrestling, like metal was starting to come into the rise, like alternative lifestyles were being finally understood and appreciated as not a phase but more of a choice.
That guy showed his butt on NYPD Blue on
And
TV.
you've got Weird Al coming to the forefront again. You've got the shock jock radio guy who's, 69ing with Eminem at the Video Music Awards in his
Hmm.
stupid outfit. And then from there, you kind of, I feel like it shrunk back for a few years where everything went super conservative for a couple of years and then exploded again into the Hangover era. Let's just make it as awkward and brutal and gross as possible because, it gets a reaction kind of thing.
Right.
So
And
I'm curious if this is the shrinking or the explosion part. Like, is it going to
right.
be warts and all, or is it going to be more down hidden like subtext kind of thing?
Yeah, this isn't your father's rom-com. We're
Hmm.
sleeping together. Yeah. This is
Or is it, this is your grandfather's rom-com, but
right.
with,
Right.
with
Matchmaker,
modern
matchmaker, make me a
sensibilities?
match. Yeah.
Yes.
This is also the only movie in this season that features the word love in the title, which
Interesting.
is kind of interesting here. So,
Okay.
um,
Okay. What? Okay. This is four, right? So, okay,
correct,
we've already announced what the final one is, which is how Stella got her groove back.
correct.
Um, as an opening, let's talk about what is the equivalent word for love in the all of the other movies. I think met for Harry, met Sally. That is
Sure.
especially in the modern parlance of meeting somebody.
Hmm.
Um, he says modern like that wasn't 5 years after he was a teenager and has
Right.
already cycled out of use.
Right.
Um, I think
Enough.
groove is probably
Yeah,
the.
groove is that. Enough said. I don't think that's qualifies. And then long shot is our
Mm,
first one.
oh, that one's a tough one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it only works for three. Three out of the
Yeah.
five.
Yeah. That's pretty good odds though.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. All right. Any final thoughts here before we go watch the film?
No, I'm curious to see how many people are in this who had a career slash didn't have a career, if that makes sense. Like,
Right.
how many people? Because you said apparently it's a stacked cast, according to you.
No, I
Um,
I I feel like it's gonna be. I only know these two actors,
oh,
but
okay.
in 2005, I feel like it's gonna be one of those ones where it's like, oh, now you're just in a bunch of Marvel movies, and oh, now you're on a TV show that's been running for 10 seasons now. Like I feel like that's
The
gonna be the thing.
the Chiwetel Ejiofor effect. I'm really bad at pronouncing his name. I apologize to him
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
Where he's in everything. Like he's
Mm.
in Love Actually, and I did not know he was in Love Actually for a long
Oh
time.
wow. Yeah.
Um, I think he's the husband of Rick from The Walking Dead's cat.
Right. I think you're right.
Like that's him. He's in literally everything. He has bit parts in so many different things, and
Right.
it's like, oh, because you're great. That's why.
That's right. That's right. You've been good this whole time.
Yeah, the only reason I realized he was as good as he is because of Firefly, the movie, not the show.
Mm.
Serenity is the movie, I believe.
Yes.
But the effect of him, where it's like you are huge now, you don't get the props you deserve, but
Hmm.
you are bigger now than you were then, or is it one of those things where it's like how many people in here are could have or maybe should have been, like
Right.
oh, you had this moment where you were right on the bubble of becoming one of the biggest things ever,
Yeah.
and then you didn't, the bubble didn't pop, like you
Yeah.
didn't,
20 years
or
later,
rather the bubble,
you stopped here.
yeah, like you vanished into obscurity because
Right.
of whatever. And no offense to you, I feel like that is very much Amanda Peet. I've literally only ever seen her in the
A
whole
hundred
nine
percent.
yards.
Yeah, like I like Amanda Peet a lot, but I feel like she was in a bunch of stuff for a hot minute, and then I don't think I've seen her in anything for a while.
Mm-hmm. Like I'm curious how many people are that kind of thing versus the
Hmm.
Chiwetel Ejiofor effect.
Right.
I'm quiet when I say his name because
That's
I
right.
know it's so
That's
wrong.
right. That's right. All right. Well, let's feed our curiosity. Let's go watch the film.
Nom, 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 nom.
We're back. We've returned from the cinema. We've watched A Lot Like Love, cinema, aka the
The
TV in the
cinema.
other room. Um,
Hey. It's in the same room. Thank you very
there you go.
much.
A locally sourced TV. We watched A Lot Like Love. Um, Boy, this sure
Oh
feels
boy.
sure feels a lot like the last movie we watched, just done worse.
Uh-huh.
If I'm not to put too fine a point on it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Oh boy.
It I kind of respect that her name is Emily, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Emily. Um
Yes.
Amanda Pete's
Wait, no.
character, yeah. Uh
Mm, I don't know. Okay, sure.
I have the page up here. Um
Okay.
I like that Emily is kind of too cool for school for most of the film.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that's not usually a rom-com thing, and
Yes.
I
Normally it's the
appreciate
guy.
that. Yeah, it's usually like, oh, I'm too cool for love, whatever. And like Oliver, the whole
Uh-huh.
movie is just like, I love love, yeah, let's go,
And I
yeah,
have a
love.
plan, and I need
That's
to
right.
follow the plan. Spoiler alert, folks. Plans never work how you think they will.
Yeah.
Um, do we want? Can I just throw out the start of the movie? I love the fact that I think it's Norman Reedus is the guy who is in the truck.
Oh, so is it?
pretty, I'm pretty sure that's Norman Reedus.
You know, I gotta say, this movie has kind of a stacked cast. Like we have
Uh-huh.
Ashton
We'll
Kutcher
talk
and
about resurgences.
yeah, like Ashton Kutcher and Amanda Peet we talked about at the beginning. Catherine Hahn plays Amanda Peet's
Uh-huh.
friend, who I love her
That's
in literally everything I have seen her in, and she's great in this.
I have not seen her in enough. I will say that much,
Yeah.
but her most recent performance for me is the one that everybody knows her from right now,
Yep.
which is Agatha in
That one.
WandaVision.
Yeah. Uh
And she's so good.
she is so good in literally everything. Cal Penn is here as like the kind of his business partner for their online
Mhm,
diaper ordering business website thing. Um,
mhm. Who is? Can we just talk about the fact that he's very clearly a rich boy who has a lot of
yes.
money to blow?
Yep.
It's-
Yep. Him hitting on Meghan Markle in the plane was an especially great scene. Um,
Mhm.
we have Ali Larter, who hasn't been in a lot
They-
of stuff lately.
Yep. So we talked about in the first episode, in the first part of this episode, I should
Oh,
say, how we're
mhm.
curious if I'm going to get any of those almost there. Wait, what happened to them kind of people? I
Enter
would
Ali
classify
Larter.
Ali Larter as one of those people
Yep.
who allegedly was an absolute nightmare to work with on Heroes. So I wonder
Ah,
if that is one of the reasons why she has kind of vanished. Now, I say allegedly because you don't know the situation. It was the
right.
early 2000s. Is it the Brendan Fraser problem where he comes out and speaks the truth to power and then doesn't get anything for decades? Like,
Right.
is it that, or is it she a legit diva? Like, that's
Right.
the question.
And paired with that, Taryn Manning is in this as well, who hasn't been in a large role either. She's Oliver's sister in the movie. She was in a bunch of stuff
Okay.
for a while there. I feel like a lot
Yeah,
of people. Good.
the script writer is familiar too, and I don't know why. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
Emily's first ex, well, second ex technically, if we're going by the
Oh,
chrono.
yeah. Who was that? I don't even remember. Maybe that was Peter Gabriel Mann. Maybe. Uh,
Potentially.
yeah, I don't remember. There's a lot of people in this movie, and all of them are now sort of famous, or maybe famous for not really being around anymore, which is kind of a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, they have an interesting meetup that turns more interesting pretty quickly. I think the like we ran into each other and joined the Mile High Club is like fine as a meetup, but I like the rest of the scenes in that era where they keep bumping into each other, and like much to her chagrin, he's just like, "Oh, hey, we had a thing there. What do you want to say? Want to hang out a little bit?" And she's like, "Man, no. What is wrong with you? You're
Uh-huh.
no." Um, but them kind of like slowly getting to know each other and bumping into each other, and him saving her from her parents and that stuff
Uh-huh.
feels pretty fun.
Yeah, I feel like the day in New York is probably the best part of this movie, if I'm completely honest. Like
I think it's a highlight.
that
Yeah.
that first day when they're in New York together and they're doing all of that kind of jazz. Like that's a great solid little section.
She's using his
I do like
camera, like
these.
she's breaking in the camera that he's too afraid to use. Like there's some good stuff
Uh-huh.
in there.
And the a record of everywhere I've been is a fantastic line, by the way.
Yep.
When she takes a particular shot, which we will not cover on this non-PG show,
Right.
or on this PG show, I should say.
Right.
And honestly, from there, the movie kind of plummets downwards for me.
I'm there with you.
I don't. So let's just get this out the way. I mean, maybe modern day people, this is different in modern day. I would almost 40 years old. Like
Hmm.
I didn't grow up with the hookup society that we have today. And this movie did not come out when the hookup society of today existed.
Right.
I don't like the fact that they build an entire relationship around them sleeping with each other when they break up with somebody else.
Oh, sure. I mean, it feels realistic enough, I think, but I
But there's no friendship moments between them. There's no
that's
texting
my
like when
biggest
Harry met
problem.
Sally.
Yeah,
When
that's my
Harry met
biggest problem.
Sally, there's
Yep.
a whole arc of them like becoming friends, watching movies together, spending time
Picking out
together,
a
talking
rug for
about how
his
great it
giant
is.
apartment in the 80s. Like it,
Mm-hmm.
I think I think that's one of the biggest problems with A Lot Like Love is we just watched a better version of this in Harry Met Sally, because I'm glad you had the same problem I did, which is every time they crash into each other years later, they have this big like they have this big like flare up and they sleep together and then they eventually have to be pulled apart by something.
Mm-hmm.
And like I the only time I really liked that was when he was moving out of that apartment and he like leaves her there at the end, and there's that cool
The
shot of
camera,
her looking
yeah.
at the yeah, he leaves the camera, there's a cool shot of them, her like waking up and looking at the city street and stuff. I thought that was pretty nice. But like unlike when Harry Met Sally, they have fine chemistry in this movie, but so much of it is there's not enough of the here's why we like each other, here's why the eventual ending of the movie has to happen. Like the most
Mm-hmm.
we get of it is them taking that road trip out into like the middle of the desert, and
Yeah.
that's
Which
fine.
happens.
Yeah.
It happens because she broke up with, so the
Right.
writer walked out.
Right.
Like, and then, like, I mean, I am assuming here because we don't get it stated in either of the two movies, but I'm assuming that Harry knows how Sally has her coffee. I have
Sure.
no idea if these two, if Oliver and Emily, have any idea at all how the other person prefers their coffee.
Right.
How do they order meals? How,
Right.
what side of the bed do they sleep on? Like, all of this
Right.
is,
It
it's
doesn't
like
matter.
build up.
Right.
Like it feels like it's a big happy ending based on nothing.
Well, and so much of their relationship, there's like a repeated line so often of like,
Don't you'll
smile.
ruin it.
That I hate that. But like the smile, you're with me sort of thing, or like be happy you're with me, that sort of thing,
Mhm.
feels wholly unearned because someone
Is it
has
gaslighting?
No, not really, but like someone has a breakup, they crash together for a day, and then they split up for another couple of years, and then the other one has a breakup in exactly the same way, and then they crash together again, and they just kind of like keep bouncing off of each other for one time every 3 or 4 years until they eventually just stop at the end of the movie, and it just doesn't feel like in When Harry Met Sally, of course they end up together at the end because they've been married the entire movie. Like they're connected already. And in this movie,
Yes.
of course they end up together at the end because no one has spoiled that one of them dies in the end of this movie. That's a rom-com and it's secretly super sad. Like
Hmm.
there's nothing like that, and it feels like such a bummer because it the two of them are good actors and they have fairly good chemistry, but like when he's playing the Bon Jovi song at the end because he thinks she likes Bon Jovi because she called her first boyfriend in the car at the airplane Bon Jovi because she hated him. Like I didn't cry at that because it felt
Hmm.
largely unearned and also like the most awkward. Um, but like I just it didn't get there in a way that I want
Yeah.
rom-coms to.
Like, I mean, if we're going to continue to use my perfect analogy that has no room for error at all because it's scientifically perfect, the meat aspect of this, the meat cute of this meat to bun to condiment ratio is fantastic. Like that whole like because that's arguably that's the longest section of the movie is the
Right.
day they spend in New York together, where it starts on the plane, then they bump into each other in New York. I do like the
Hmm.
fact that he gets robbed almost immediately, just for the record. Um,
Yep.
like that's a really good joke. There are moments that I love about that. I love the, I got this round. It's like, yeah, I know you do. It's like I would have appreciated, at least the reach. And then
Right.
they call back to that, like when they're driving through the desert, and she's like, "No, I got it." And it's like, "No, I appreciate the reach, but I got it because it's calling back to the thing that happened in New York."
Hmm.
Stuff like that is really really good, but like the condiment conflict of this movie is the fact that despite the fact that they clearly want to be with each other, they don't decide to be with each other.
Yeah, like the movie tries to go out of its way to say like, oh, the it's just not all coming together. The timing is
Hmm.
wrong, and it's like, not really though. Like, is
No,
it really?
like, okay, so he's going to start his business and he has his plan. Maybe that's a little bit problematic on his side because he has his quote unquote plan,
Right.
and he refuses to do anything about it beforehand. That feels like a piece of writing specifically designed to give you a reason why he won't be in a relationship with her from the get-go,
Right.
from the off. Like, it's the
Also, like
only reason that line is there.
in 2023, the idea of like we're gonna launch this website in an office to like promote to people in a building to get like venture capital funds is really funny. Of like these last 18 years, it'd be like, yeah, I have this team of like 20 people from all across the world, and we got like a B round of VC funding, and now we're good. Yeah, right, let's do
Hmm.
it. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty fun.
they'd be petitioning for Microsoft to buy them. Come on, let's
That's right.
face
That's
it.
right. That's
Um,
right.
but like it feels like the stupidest reason for them not to be together is because of this quote unquote plan that he has got his
Right.
head into. And I get it. People as a whole, not just men, but people as a whole, can be brick-headed about that kind of thing, myself included. I like things a particular way. Sometimes when they don't go that way, it upsets me.
Hmm.
But the difference is that I don't look a gift horse in the mouth
Right.
because I have a quote unquote plan that I'm going to stick with, and no matter what happens, this is what I'm going to do. I
Right.
I just it's a stupid thing. And then that when he's moving to San Francisco, which is the second time she's just broken up with her thing. She's got a job, she's doing auditions, and she can't move any of that stuff to where he's going to be. Like
Right.
the option is always there. And after that, it's just one thing or another. Oh, he's engaged. They found somebody. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
Like Harry Met Sally. they found other people and introduced each other to their partners. Like that's
Yeah.
the whole process. Is like, I want you to meet this person because they're important to me. Because spoiler alert, we're going to end up together. The it felt so long, that entire middle section of the movie.
Yep.
Like we've talked before, like Fast 7 is like almost a 3-hour movie that feels like a 90-minute movie because it
Yep.
books.
Yep.
Like Alien and Aliens are long movies that feel like short movies because they book, even though Alien is slow, but that's for a purpose.
Right.
But this is what, 140 minutes that felt like Lord of the Rings Return of the King to me. Like
Yeah.
it went so long. And it's just like, oh yay, and then you might agree with me on this one. To end the movie with the most obvious like red herring that you have ever seen in
She
your
hasn't been in
life.
the movie in an hour. Guess whose wedding it was? It's just like, I know it's not his wedding. It's obviously not his wedding. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I literally wrote that down. And
Yeah.
what purpose does Ali Lata have in this movie? She shows up as the friend group. Her only purpose after that is to show up because she's dating the ex.
Right. Right. I do have to say, I think there are a couple of bright spots in this movie. I think the actor that plays Oliver's brother is really great. His deaf brother. I think their relationship is great.
It's so good. Like, him being introduced to his brother's girlfriend, who later becomes his wife.
Yep.
And they're talking in sign language, and then she starts talking out loud because she knows sign language and knows
he's not deaf. Like, oh, she's not deaf. Yeah.
That's fantastic. My favorite is when he tricks him with the brother, and the brother's at the door and is like, "I'm Oliver."
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, you're not. You're not Oliver."
The moment
they have the whole conversation.
Yeah, the moment that got a laugh out loud for me is when his brother's wife honks at him, and he's just like, "She's honking. Why?" And he like points at his ears, and I'm just like, "All right, that's pretty good."
Yeah, that was great. And when the brother leaves and he continues to do sign language,
yep.
It is really great because he's like, "I'm still signing. I don't know why."
You're right. I do really like Emily's relationship with Catherine Hahn's character and her relationship with her husband. I think that felt like a really good kind of like,
I want to see that movie. I want to see the movie about those two who literally the entire movie can't keep their hands off each other.
Right.
Like they're sneaking around the corner at the kid's birthday party so they can make out with each other.
Right. Put Catherine Hahn in a good spin-off of this movie. And I thought those two
a lot like Marriage. Like Problem Solved.
I thought those two relationships were really pretty good, but they don't have a lot of screen time comparatively, obviously, but like it's kind of a bummer because the relationship, like we've been talking about, the relationship between Oliver and Emily just doesn't do it for me in the whole movie.
Same. The one positive about this is the time skips get a lot smaller towards the end.
That's true.
Because it's like 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, I think, is the time skips that
something
you go
like
through.
that. Yeah,
I do like the fact that Oliver's business crashes. Like that's fantastic. It's a very representative of the times.
And he moves him back in with his parents. Like it's a real like you don't get to win all of these things. Like I think that's good. I think that's a good point. Yeah,
I like that, and I like the ups and downs of their careers and their personal arcs.
Right.
Like her using that camera and becoming a photography artist.
I liked that a lot. Yeah.
Like that's a nice reference. And she bases her breaking up of of an engagement with arguably the perfect guy for her, on the
Hmm.
fact that he took photos of her at the airport 8 years ago
He
or
quote
whatever it
unquote
is.
made the first move, and I was just like, are we going back to this for real? The three strikes thing again? Like the most annoying part of this movie of like the three strikes? Come
Uh-huh.
on.
Oh, it literally has what could be argued as the perfect guy for her. They have a better meet cute moment where they're arguing over the CD in the store.
That was
Um,
actually a really good scene. Like, you want to take it, just
like,
take it. It
and then
has
he
the
takes
acoustic
it and she's like,
B-sides.
"I can't believe you took it."
That's right. That was actually that's actually pretty good meet cute. There's a good
It
romantic
is,
comedy movie in
and
this romantic comedy movie.
that chemistry between those two is fantastic in that
Yep.
moment. Like, it's a really good little moment.
Yep.
There's no attitude between she doesn't have the attitude. He's not, a child.
Right.
Um, it's that whole thing of like that is a perfect good start to the movie because she still has a little bit of the attitude, but not the punk rock attitude that she has at the
Right.
start of the movie. It's like that's solid. And it's like, yeah, we went out for dinner. Oh yeah, and the next thing you know, they're engaged. And what? She calls her off because the guy she's been on again, off again with for 8 years at that point or whatever,
Right.
like took photos of her without her knowledge at
Right.
an airport.
Right. You're seeing these action shots of a lady standing on the curb at an airport. Yeah.
Let's look at this through 2023 lenses
Right.
where you don't do that anymore.
Yeah. I I'm really
Oh,
happy we didn't watch this movie first in this season because we
oh,
didn't start off on the wrong foot because I just feel like this was a miss. It seems like a lot of people really like it. It's one of those movies that like if it really clicks with you, it I
uh-huh.
like more power to you. But it did very little for me, unfortunately.
It feels super middle of the road for me. Like
Yeah,
it's an average. Some of it is great, but overall, when you balance everything out together, it's an average movie with I think a below par storyline. Like there is
it
no knowing. Like I said earlier, that their relationship is not known. They don't know each other that way. Like
yeah.
they don't.
This is
And
to me, this is the perfect movie that's on TBS in the middle of the day on a Saturday when you're sick and you're just laying there and you're like, okay, I haven't seen this movie before, let's watch it. And then that's how you watch it.
yeah, or
Yeah.
you're playing around on your phone while it's on in the background if you've seen it before. Like when you
Yeah,
catch the good lines, like
exactly.
that's really that. I think it does well in that thing, but it feels like it's a swing. Don't get me wrong. I will give it its props. It's definitely a swing to try and take this type of relationship and make a romantic comedy out of it. But it's
Yeah.
just like there is no relationship there. Now maybe I'm being traditionalist, but like I said, he doesn't know how she has coffee. He
Also,
like
just go watch When Harry Met Sally because it's a better example of like it's just the wrong time. Like
yeah.
that's
Mm.
long and short. All right, let's talk about ratings here because I always really like seeing this stuff. Rotten Tomatoes 41% on the tomato meter, which feels
Oh,
pretty accurate. Audience score 77%. That's a pretty big swing for
I'm
that movie.
curious if the 77% comes from because this is not a box office smash. Like this is not You've Got Mail where they do a huge,
No, it
you
cost
know,
30 million to make. It made 42.8 million in the theaters. So like it's
yeah.
not. Yeah.
So I think this is one of those movies that people see and then tell their friends about. This is one of
100%.
those movies where it's, oh, I really like this movie. You might like this movie, or you're
Right.
going through a breakup. Maybe watch this movie as a repeatedly going through breakups kind of movie.
It feels like a good movie in the heyday of Netflix streaming. Of like, oh,
Yeah,
you like romantic comedies? You just watch one you like. Here's another one you might like. And it's like, yeah, man, sure, all right.
Yeah, so I
Um,
think maybe that's why it might skew a little higher on that side of things because
yeah,
it feels like a lot of not many people are Googling this. People are being pointed at this, saying
yeah.
this is one you will like.
Letterboxd has it at a 3.2 out of 5, and IMDb has it at a 6.6 out of 10. So all those are kind of, and audience scores are all kind of in that like 6 to 7 range, which
Mhm. I
seems
think
about right.
Letterboxd is probably the closest to my personal thing. It's
Yeah,
probably a good 2.5 to 3. Like it's fine, I guess. Maybe 2 to 3. It
it's
would be my
it's
range.
well made. Like it has the most 2005 soundtrack of any movie I've seen in a really long time.
Oh, yes, it
Yeah,
does.
it really.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's where a lot of that budget went, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm probably with you right there. Like it's probably a solid 2.5. If I was feeling really generous, I'd be scooting more towards the 3.0. But um, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's fine, I guess.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. All right. Well, that's our episode. We got one more rom com here. We're gonna
Oh
finish the
boy, and
season
it
with
is
a
a big
classic.
one.
Yeah. So next episode will
Yeah.
be how Stella got her groove back, and we hope you'll join us for that one. See you next time. Bye.